The podcast nowhere near Hollywood. It's Afternoon Coffee with Mike and Tim.
Hey, that was good. What I was thinking was maybe welcome to the Afternoon Coffee Podcast with Mike and Tim.
Nice try, boys, but this is how it should sound. This is the Afternoon Coffee Podcast with Mike and Tim.
All right, thank you, Heather. And we are back with part 2 of our interview with Adrienne Mach, the singing flight attendant with Southwest Airlines. And we will pick up right where we left off. So here we go.
I'm feeling impotent, guys.
Impotent? So can you mimic any other accents? Yeah.
I do accents. Yes, I do.
Can you fake anybody out on a flight? Have you had to do that? Can you do that if you wanted to?
I could. Yeah.
Show us.
Okay. Well, Mike, I'm very happy to be here with you today, and I'm a singer, as you know, but I'm trying to make it in the business here in Nashville, Tennessee, and it's been a little bit slow going because I've got a 9-to-5 job, or shall I say a 24/7 job.
Man, that's good, Mike. That's good. That's good. And see, a little known fact, and I know Adrienne will talk about it, her aspirations, well, we want to talk about that, not perspirations, but her aspirations here in the future. What is that? We'll ask now, what if you could do anything while you're doing this job, what would it be?
Okay, the only thing I have ever wanted to do in my life since I was 3 years old, I kid you not, everybody says that. It's very cliche when they're being interviewed. Everybody says, oh, I started when I was 3 years old. No, I really did. Anyway, cool. I wake up singing. I go to bed singing. You know, you ask what my hobbies, my aspirations, my passions are. And all of it was singing. I would sing 24/7 if I could.
That's good.
Now, you were in a band, bands back in Maryland. Yeah. How was that? What kind of genres were you singing?
Top 40.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah, all the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 70s. You name it.
Top 40s in the 80s would be like classic stuff now. Yeah, that's it.
I know.
That's the kind of stuff I like too.
I know. I listen to it. I'm like, oh my gosh, if I had only known then what I know now, I would have done it differently.
Yeah.
As we all say.
Absolutely.
So have you done anything like Doris Day or anything? Can you do that stuff? I mean,
I do old standards as well.
Oh, old standards are so good. And of course, I've got a radio station, and that's do it.
Our love is here to stay, not for a year, but ever and a day. The radio and the telephone and the movies that we made are just passing fancy, and in time they go. But oh my dear, our love is here to stay. Old standard for you.
Oh, that's good.
That's
Mike, was she recording that, or was that live? Oh my goodness.
It was Memorex.
Memorex. No, that's live, folks.
I thought I heard some glass breaking. Yes.
Well, that's
nice. Very nice.
Very good. Wow. Man, that's going to cost us extra, Mike, on this podcast. She didn't tell us that.
It may.
Really, a Starbucks card is just fine.
Take my money. Take my money.
That's tremendous. Thank you, Adrienne.
Now you went viral on YouTube by singing. How did that get started, and how many hits did you get on all that?
Well, I'm not sure, but it was, one of those things where you never know who's listening. And there was someone videoing me going into Nashville singing I Will Always Love You. Mm-hmm. And so then after that flight, I get home and people are like, oh my God, you're on the news. You're on Channel 4. I'm like, what are you talking about? They're like, you're on Channel 4 News in Nashville. And it was a really long news segment. I'm like, oh. So I had to call the station and they downloaded it on their website again so that I could get it. So that was really cool.
Is it still on the website?
I'm not sure because I know I just saved it to my texts or videos or something. You know me, guys. We went through this. I'm not techno.
Yes.
That was on Channel 4, you said?
Yes.
Well, that was a beautiful song. What is one of your favorite songs to sing? And if you don't mind performing it now.
Well, I Will Always Love You. It was always my heart. And then Run to You from Whitney Houston. I do anything Whitney. I love Whitney. But I will do, since everybody knows I Will Always Love You, I'll do that one for you.
Okay.
Good.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way. So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. I will always love you, my darling, you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need, and I wish you joy and happiness. But above all of this, I wish you love. And I will always love you. I will always love you, my darling, you. I'll always love you.
Tremendous.
It's like an angel.
Mike, can you get those high notes? I don't think you can.
No.
That's tremendous. Adrienne Mach, thank you so much for that.
You are welcome.
Wow.
Man, that's energy right there.
Well, thank you for letting me do it, guys.
You know, that's just a testament to your personality, and also you also spoke about aspirations of getting into voiceover work, and that's the breath control. I think when we first I was texting you or something, and you sent me something singing, and I said that's good voice control. Remember I said that?
Yes, you did. Yeah. Yes.
So you've got great voice control, and your breath and all that is just tremendous. And you know, Mike and I do voiceovers, but you certainly will excel. That's certainly a gift, no doubt about that.
I'm going to say this again: your mouth to God's ear. Oh. You know, if you work your passion, you will never work again.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I aspire to that.
Well, I really think you're going to be found one of these days, and there's just no way that you can. I've seen people on. We don't watch a lot of these The Voice or anything like that, but we do watch America's Got Talent, and we've seen people on there go to the final round that don't sound anywhere near as good as you. So I think
that's right. Yeah,
I think you could do well. You're just waiting to be found right now.
Oh my God, thank you so much. That means so much to me, because that's what I say. I'm like, you know, I never took a lesson in my life, and when people say, "Where did you get it from?" I say, God and grandmother, because my grandmother was a singer, and my mother passed before I could realize it. But I've heard that she had a beautiful, amazing singing voice. So, yeah, I have a very interesting family. My father was a thoroughbred jockey, and I mean, all of this stuff. I come from, you know, interesting career paths for sure.
Wow. Yeah. And it's from, I think, from a lot of people, and then from childhood to adulthood, And if you have someone that even outside of the family that encourages you and helps to mentor that and bring out that talent as you're young and they recognize that, and I think all three of us, and I know I substitute teach, so I deal with elementary all the way up to high school. And of course, I customize, what I'm standing in front of the young people, and I certainly try to emulate encouragement to these young people because all three of us have seen what it's like to be past 40, and unless you're not there yet.
Oh, I prefer to say I'm not there yet.
So it's just so
I was
we
going to
all
say
know
40.
that
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Yeah, you got that right. Mike knows how old I am. It's just like, oh my word, retirement is real close. I'm already, but Mike and I are already retired. But as far as the government, that's coming closer, isn't it, Mike?
Yes, you're closer than I am, but yeah,
I'm
it's coming
just
pretty quickly.
Well,
yeah,
guys,
I've already
that's
picked out
awesome.
I picked out the casket already, so I'm kidding
holy
you.
heck, no. But you guys, I got to tell you, unless I'm discovered singing and I get that wonderful, amazing dream fulfilled, I will be like the U.S. Air flight attendant that's like in her 80s. I will be a Southwest 86-year-old flight attendant.
Oh, that's neat.
That's great. That's great.
And you guys on their flights just coordinating, getting the food and all that and the drinks and I mean, you guys, you have a plan. I mean, you got to have a plan, right? To get
Right.
your timing has to be right.
It does. And it's not, and it's weird because as you've mentioned before, it's not how talented you are, it's who you know, and if the right people hear you. And just the right people haven't heard me. And I pray to God that, my ship comes in and I'll be at the dock instead of the airport.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, our last interview was a guy that was from Nashville, lives in Nashville, and we were talking about Garth Brooks. I don't know if you saw any of his special that he had on a few months ago, but when he first got to Nashville, he was so discouraged he went back to Oklahoma for a while. So I mean, and as multi-talented as that guy is, you can't get discouraged. I mean, it's a tough town. I mean, there's every other person is a fantastic singer,
Right.
So there's just a lot of competition.
Absolutely. But, I got to tell you, I forgot to tell you about Southwest. One of the most amazing things that happened to me was at Christmas time a few years ago. I always sing Christmas carols for people. And I didn't know, I saw him come on, but our CEO, Gary Kelly, amazing, kind, nice man, very fortunate to have him as my boss. He was on my flight and I was singing. And then at the end, I sang I Will Always Love You. And the biggest compliment I got was he comes off and he said, oh my goodness, that was beautiful. He said, you could have a job doing something else, but please don't.
Oh, how about that?
That was such a compliment.
Absolutely.
That was several years ago and I still remember it.
Life is pretty good for you right now, but it hasn't always been that way, has it?
No, lots of losses for sure. I put myself on a self-imposed witness protection program. I used to live in Baltimore, and the bottom just dropped out of my life there. And so I wanted to move to Nashville to be a singer. And I was looking in Nashville all over the place, the suburbs, and actually God placed Barbara Sullivan in my life. She lives in Columbia, Tennessee. And so she said to me, why don't you move to my town? And I was like, she said, come to my house, visit, tell me what you think. Well, I moved to Columbia, Tennessee. I thought I was in heaven. It's something out of It's a Wonderful Life. I didn't even find my house for me. She went on those real estate sites, found me a bunch of houses, invited me to her house. She did drive-bys first. She found my house for me. She found my realtor, my house, and I'm in it and I'm loving it. And then your good friend, Tim Jeff Nelson.
Absolutely.
He is my angel. He was building a deck for his. Now, granted, I knew no one here except Barbara. He was building a deck for his daughter, and I complimented him, and we have been friends ever since. And I kid you not, he feeds me. He takes care of me. I wanna something fixed in the house. He's like, no, you're not spending money. I'll be right over. He is seriously He and his wife and his family are not of this world. They are just incredible people. And that is how I met you, Tim. So I'm very grateful to
Yes.
him for that.
And Patrick, his son Patrick, is a pilot now. I mean, he's got his
Yes.
own, he's got his license. He just got it, right? So,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. I mean, for a small airplane, but nonetheless, I mean, that's tremendous, to be, able to fly even a small plane. That's great.
Well,
But Jeff and Pam, I'm sure we're okay to use their names, but
yeah.
they are certainly angels. They touched our lives, and that's not what this program is about us. But we want to know more about Adrienne Mach and how God has taught you some things in the valleys. Now,
Oh my
what has He
God.
taught you in the valleys? And now maybe you're doing a lot better, but through some help of friends. But in the valleys, what has He taught you?
Okay. Well, my mom died at 14, and I was
Hmm.
adopted by one of my boarding school teachers who just took me under her wing, and we're very, very close friends. And that's how I got into flying. And then I was raised by my aunt who I lived for her. And that's why I didn't pursue my singing. I stayed home to be with her and my grandmother. And my grandmother passed. My poor dear aunt got dementia. And it was
Hmm.
11 years of horrible. I mean, she went from being there to non-ambulatory and not speaking and just a shell of a person. So that was very difficult for me. So when I got divorced and didn't take anything from my husband, which of course I was too nice, everyone says, but you can't go back. She was helping me financially. Well, when she got sick, of course she couldn't do that. So I had to sell my house, and I bought this place in Colombia. And since then, I've lost everybody. Like my brother froze to death, and it was horrible. And with my aunt and my grandmother, and family took money from me, so that relationship has been strained. But what it has taught me, all of these tragedies and all of this horrible stuff that most people wouldn't survive, I had a charmed life. And then, Mike, I had a charmed life. My aunt, I wanted for nothing. She paid for my boarding school, my college. When I was struggling financially, she helped me. And what it made me realize is that if you keep the faith, you'll come through to the other side. But what this does teach you is, number one, how strong you are when you don't think that you are. And number two, it teaches you what your needs and your wants are. We are
That's
so
a big
frivolous.
distinction.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we're so frivolous. And when you've got to put it in a U-Haul truck or a storage unit, you realize you don't need all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So
What
really,
a testimony.
it is. It's like you keep the faith and you will prevail. And don't buy. This is what I tell young kids. And if there are any young kids listening right now, take this to heart. If you have any money, do not buy things. Make memories. Travel the world. Go wherever you want to go, wherever your heart's desire is. And number three, please start investing at a young age. Any extra money you get, don't buy things. Invest in your future, because you don't know when the bottom will drop out.
Yeah.
Right.
Now's a great time to start investing, as a matter of fact. So I've told my son that, him and his wife, that just recently, that stock market's as low as it's been in a long, long time. So if you want to start opening an account, start throwing a little bit of money in there. Now's a great time to start.
Yep. And as Dave Ramsey has said, and other folks, I think Crown Financial, to have at least 2 to 3 months in reserve. And that's something young people just don't think about. And then now with the coronavirus, and people are certainly in despair. I've never, and none of us here have ever seen anything like this. I mean, nothing like this.
Exactly.
And it's almost like, and my wife and I, we watched The Walking Dead. And I know it's not similar to that, but you don't know who's a walker, basically, who has the virus. So you got to be vigilant, and the cleanliness should have already been there for people. We get it. But there's a lot of things that people are wondering if it was, conspiracy theories and all that, but it doesn't. It does matter. But what matters is it's here now. We have to deal with it. Unprecedented. Businesses are failing. I mean, people may lose homes. They're going to lose their jobs maybe because they're going to go out of business. And that's going to affect Southwest as well. It's got to affect that. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, leave. That's okay. That's good. That's good.
I
See,
do
the
have
dog's
dogs, you
upset.
see?
Even the dogs are upset.
That's the thing that scares me too. It's not just the virus, it's how people act and react when they're terrified. They do things that they would never do ever. Like, for instance, pilfer, or, you know, unfortunately it's not to this, but, you know, when things escalate, there are rioting in the streets, and there is theft,
Mm.
and there is all sorts of crazy behavior that people would never think of doing. And, you know, excuse me, but I don't think that the coronavirus, may I be so blunt as to say, is a diarrheal
Mm.
virus. So I'm wondering why there's no toilet paper on the shelf. That's the quandary of the day.
Well, that's the
Yeah.
thing. The numbers don't add up to the reaction that everything is. Is that we've had some deaths and everything, but as far as I knew the other day, no one under 50 has died from this. And it's been, we're talking in the 3-digit numbers. I don't see where the reaction that we're getting out of everyone, this inflammatory reaction that the media is kind of thrust upon us. I don't see why it is compared to even the regular flu or any other kind of thing, heart
Right.
disease. I mean, that
Right.
is so much more deadly than what this is seemingly. And I may be wrong.
Correct. But, you know, and a friend of mine sent me a table, and it said all of the different viruses and how many people it killed and all of that. And the H1N1 was by far
By far.
greater.
Yep.
Yes.
And those of you not familiar with H1N1, that was the swine flu from a few years ago. And that, absolutely. It was much more deadly, much more taxing on people's lives than this is. So I don't get it.
Yeah.
And so that's why people are coming up with these conspiracy theories, because it doesn't make any sense,
Right.
So
Exactly.
It makes one wonder. And then also, you don't think about this. And I kind of thought about it. Maybe 10% of my brain thought about prepping for a disaster. But here, we're in the United States of America. You never really think about prepping for a disaster. But because of other people's reactions, I'm kind of thinking of a water filtration system, or even a generator or something. I
Right.
don't know. But I'm kind of looking at meals ready to eat for the future. I don't know. But something, the way it's triggered, the people are being triggered into fear, that does affect us. And even if you don't think about prepping, maybe we should think about prepping. I don't know, just
Well,
because of other people's fears.
right. This may be a wake up call for something like that.
It may be.
You know, we laugh at the people who have those, you know, pantries full of, you know, canned goods and like what those space meals and water, but maybe they're smarter than we are.
maybe.
I don't know.
You never know.
I saw a
Yeah.
meme the other day about this. It's like, well, if this is any kind of test, we have shown that we will fail the zombie apocalypse because
Yeah.
we've just sold out of everything in about 24 hours. And it's just,
Exactly.
so 90% of the humanity in the United States will just die from starvation. So
That's terrifying,
whatever.
but yes.
Yeah. But, and I think that we have an advantage. The three of us anyway have an advantage that we have faith in a living God, that we don't worry about,
yes.
he'll provide. And if he doesn't, then, it gets even better for us. So
Yes,
Right.
it does. God is not up there wringing his hands, wondering what's going to happen, with our lives. And if we try to do what is right, I believe God will. I believe he'll take us down a path where he's going to take care of us, because won't we want to take care of our children and do good for them and give them the things that they need, and so much more that in the Bible verse it talks about the lilies of the field. They're not Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these, the Bible says. So he'll take care of us, and he'll make a way. And you know what? Like Mike says, if it doesn't happen, he'll find another way to glorify. Even the rocks will cry out if we don't do that. So if we don't praise God also in the bad times, how can we justify the great times and of praising him as well? So anyway, that's our lesson for today.
Well, but you know what? It's true, because I often think of Job. I'm like, of course, I didn't have the horrible stuff that happened to him. But when you lose everything in a very short period of time, he's the one that I thought of, because, God gave him back more than what he ever had through his faith and showing faith. And so I often think to myself, I don't want God to cry. I want him to smile, So that's
Yes.
why I hold on. Also too, and I tell him, I said, I say, God, why did you give me this voice if not to use it? How do you want me to use it? And I often tell him, please scream at me, don't whisper, because my
Yes.
mind is so busy with the stress, I can't hear you.
I say the
Has
same
anyone
thing all the
said-
time.
Oh, absolutely. Same here. Mike and I, we struggle with the VO world and I'm not, it's not our program. It's not about us, but it's the whole VO thing. Mike and I, we struggle with those that are flamboyant in the industry, and Mike will tell you that. But the one thing I want to share, or not share with you, but the more I look at you, you almost remind me of, and I don't know if you know any of her music, but Cyndi Lauper. Has anyone said you look a little like Cyndi Lauper? Has
Well,
anyone done that?
I went on tour as Cyndi Lauper and
You
Madonna
didn't.
years back. I was in Philadelphia on the Today Show back in the day. But yes, I was Cyndi Lauper on TV. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Wow.
So
You
people
called
have
that
said
one.
that to you. I'm not the only one,
You did,
right?
You did.
All right, that's good. Yeah, we need to get you to sing a Cyndi Lauper song.
Girls just want to have fun.
That's good.
Adrienne, I got to tell you, this has been a fantastic interview. It's been insightful. It's been, you're a joy to talk to. We've really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Me too.
Absolutely.
You both better keep in touch.
It's
Well,
been an easy interview, that's for sure. You've
Once you get
inspired us.
famous, I want you to remember us, is all I'm saying.
Oh,
Okay.
when I'm interviewed by Entertainment Tonight, I'll mention you both.
There you
Yeah.
go. See?
And remember, afternoon coffee with Mike and Tim.
You got it.
Send us off with a song. Would you do that?
Oh, sure. Whispers in the morning of lovers sleeping tight are rolling by like thunder now as I look in your eyes. I hold on to your body and feel each move you make. Your voice is warm and tender, the love that I could not forsake, 'cause I'm your lady and you are my man. Whenever you reach for me, I'm gonna do all that I can. We're heading for somewhere I've never been. Sometimes I am frightened, but I'm ready to learn from the power of love, the power of love, power of love. Shortened version.
Thank you so much. What
That's
a joy.
fantastic.
What a joy.
And she's in her garage, too. And it's like, the sound is still good.
Oh, you are in your garage. I
It's
see.
incredible.
Okay, cool.
Guests on the Afternoon Coffee podcast stay at the Real Rest Inns and Suites, the only 2-star hotel in the tri-state area with a don't ask, don't tell policy for snakes and other exotic pets.
This episode has been made possible by our awesome intro voice, Heather Foster. You can find out more about her at heatherfostervoice.com. All music has been provided and produced by Marble Planet Productions. You can hear more about them on Instagram at Marble Planet Productions. If you'd like to get in contact with us, you can either email us at afternooncoffeepodcast@gmail.com or tweet us at afternoonjava.